Every woman carries a hidden weakness. It's not obvious, but it quietly controls how she tests you, how she loves you, and how she can leave you. The dangerous truth: 9% of men never see it until it destroys them. Have you ever noticed how one day she treats you like her world, and the next, you're invisible? That wasn't random. It won the pattern you never learned to see. The truth: you were never in control. Not because you lacked charm, but because you didn't even see the battlefield you were standing on. Behind her beauty, behind the confidence she shows the world, are fault lines, hidden cracks, emotional triggers that quietly dictate how she feels, how she loves, and the choices she makes about you. These aren't cliches. They're not surface flaws. They are invisible patterns, predictable once you know them, devastating if you don't. Most men walk blind into them. They repeat the same mistakes. They fall into the same traps. They lose women they thought they had already won. But you don't have to, because in this video, I'll reveal the 10 hidden psychological weak points almost every woman carries. Once you see them, you can't unsee them. And by the time we reach number 9 and 10, you'll understand women in a way 99% of men never will. The first hidden weakness is what I call her silent craving for attention. At first, it looks harmless. She posts a photo online, maybe just a casual selfie. Within minutes, the notifications light up her phone hearts. Comments, little bursts of recognition. Each one gives her a small hit of validation. It feels good. It feels alive. But here's the danger: the craving doesn't stop at her screen. It follows her everywhere she goes. Think about the way she enters a crowded room. She notices who looks her way, even for a second. She feels the spark when a stranger gives her a compliment. She pays attention when her friends hang on her words in conversation. Every smile, every nod, every glance feeds the same hunger. On the outside, it looks like confidence. On the inside, it's a cycle she can't resist. The more attention she gets, the more she needs it. And here's the uncomfortable truth: it doesn't matter if she respects the person giving it. The attention itself is the drug. The simple act of being noticed is enough to keep the craving alive. And just like any addiction, the moment the supply slows down, the withdrawal begins. Doubt creeps in. Did I lose it? Am I not special anymore? Who's getting the spotlight that used to be mine? That's when her mind starts to spiral. She rereads old messages, replaying them like a movie in her head. She obsesses over tiny details, searching for hidden meaning in things that never mattered. She compares herself to others, wondering who's stealing the recognition she once owned. Her emotions shift quickly, warm one moment, cold the next. What looks random to you is, in fact, a predictable reaction to this hidden need. Ever had a girl text you all day like she couldn't get enough of you, then suddenly go silent the next? You're left wondering, did you mess up? Or is she just testing you? This is why men often feel blindsided. One day, she's overflowing with affection, and the next she feels distant and distracted. It's not about you. It's about the invisible battle inside her, the same battle that ties directly into her next weakness. Because once attention fades, her mind begins to overanalyze every small detail, turning ordinary moments into storms of doubt. And when that storm hits, you'll feel it even if you did nothing wrong. When the glow of attention fades, her mind doesn't rest. This is where her second weakness shows up: emotional overthinking. What feels like nothing to you can spiral into everything for her. Imagine sending her a quick text that simply says, "Okay," to you. It's a casual reply, To her, it can feel loaded. Hours later, she might ask, "Are you mad at me?" Not because she wants to annoy you, but because her brain has already built a story. Maybe you're upset. Maybe you're losing interest. Maybe something is wrong, and she assumes it must be her fault. Her mind doesn't just process events. It creates entire narratives around them. A pause in your reply can scream rejection. A change in your tone becomes a sign of anger. Even the smallest shift in routine feels like proof something is off. Logic says nothing has changed, but her emotions insist it has. And here's the real weight of it. She doesn't just think these scenarios. She feels them. Anxiety rushes in, as though the breakup is already happening. Doubt creeps in like it's already true. Curiosity twists into fear, and fear into panic. All within minutes. Technology only fuels this storm. Typing bubbles, read receipts, delayed replies. Each one becomes an emotional landmine. What feels like a harmless pause to you can feel like rejection to her. And while you move through your day, she's fighting battles you can't even see. That's why she may shift so suddenly warm and affectionate one moment, distant and uncertain the next. From her perspective, she's defending herself against pain that feels real. From yours, it seems confusing and unpredictable. But make no mistake, it's a pattern, not randomness. And when overthinking collides with her habit of constant comparison, it pushes her straight into the next hidden weakness: insecurity about her own appearance. If she suddenly asks, "Are you mad at me just because you texted okay?" Don't brush it off or make her feel silly. Reassure her calmly. "Not at all. I'm just a little busy right now." That small gesture can stop her mind from spiraling into worst-case scenarios. Her third weakness is one of the most hidden, yet one of the most universal insecurity about her appearance. You might look at her and see beauty that turns heads everywhere she goes. To you, she seems flawless. But when she looks in the mirror, she often sees something very different. A tiny blemish feels enormous. A strand of hair out of place feels like a flaw. Everyone will notice. Small imperfections become mountains she believes she can never climb. Social media makes this even worse. Every scroll confronts her with perfectly filtered photos, influencers showing off flawless lives, and endless comparisons. Each image whispers the same cruel message: you're not enough. You should look like her. Even if you shower her with compliments, they rarely silence the inner critic. A careless comment from years ago, maybe something you don't even remember, can replay in her mind like a ghost that refuses to leave. This obsession runs deep. She compares. She adjusts. She critiques herself relentlessly. She may project confidence in public, but underneath, she's chasing an impossible standard of perfection. And here's the hidden danger when insecurity collides with attention or flattery. It can trigger powerful emotions. Compliments lift her up, but they also dig into her fears. Validation feels good, yet it makes her crave more. For men, this creates a subtle trap. You might think your praise reassures her. Sometimes it does, but other times, it feeds the very insecurity you're trying to calm. That's why her reactions can feel unpredictable. Genuine attraction can quickly blur into obsession, leaving her attachment more intense and her judgment less clear. When she keeps checking the mirror or tweaking her photo before posting, don't tease or criticize even as a joke. Instead, compliment the very thing she's insecure about. Say something like, "I love how natural your hair looks like this. It's super attractive." This storm inside her doesn't stay contained. When insecurity fuses with her desire to be seen and validated. It sets her up for the next weakness. Because when words of flattery hit the exact spot she fears is lacking, her defenses drop. And in that moment, her vulnerability is at its peak, opening the door to something far more dangerous. Her fourth weakness is her vulnerability to flattery. Out of all the triggers, this one cuts the deepest because it slips past her logic and lands straight on her heart. Attention may light the spark, but flattery is the gasoline, and when it's delivered the right way, it can overwhelm her defenses before she even realizes what's happening. It doesn't take cheesy pickup lines or rehearsed charm. The most powerful words are the ones that feel personal, specific, and true. A compliment about her eyes, her laugh, her intelligence, or her quiet strength hits harder than a generic, "You're beautiful." Why? Because those words touch the places she secretly worries about, or the qualities she desperately wishes someone would notice. When she hears those words, something shifts, her guard lowers. She feels seen in a way she rarely experiences, and in that moment, the man who speaks them doesn't feel like just another face in the crowd. He becomes the one who understands her, the one who notices what others overlook, the one who makes her feel special. That feeling is addictive. The more personal the praise, the stronger the effect. It creates an emotional high that she wants to experience again and again. And the more she craves it, the more she trusts. She shares pieces of herself she normally hides. She reveals secrets she usually guards. She lets her emotions guide her choices, even when her logic warns her to slow down. Here lies the danger. Flattery, when aimed at the right soft spot, doesn't just build trust, it creates attachment. And once she attaches, her decisions stop being cautious. They become impulsive, emotional, sometimes reckless. This is why flattery isn't harmless. In the right hands, it can shift the course of her love life. If you want to build real connection, skip the generic compliments. Praise the details she rarely gets noticed for. Say something like, "I really admire how you think about that issue." It hits way deeper than, "You're beautiful." That's the turning point. When vulnerability meets attachment, the next weakness almost always follows her tendency to leap headfirst into love, ignoring every red flag along the way. The fifth weakness is her tendency to make impulsive decisions in love. When emotions take over, logic often fades into the background. You've probably seen it before: the woman who dives headfirst into a relationship, convinced she's found something rare, something meant to be. To her, the excitement feels like destiny. To you, it may look reckless. In the rush of new attraction, red flags vanish. Subtle warnings don't register. That small voice telling her to slow down gets drowned out by the thrill. She starts building futures in her head, imagining late-night talks, shared adventures, even long-term commitments. And all of this happens before the relationship has even been tested. The modern dating world fuels this impulse. Swipes replace real connection. Quick validation replaces trust. Every spark feels urgent, like something that must be grabbed before it slips away. And when she feels understood or deeply desired, she's more likely to believe she's found the one after only days or weeks. But this kind of leap comes with a price, because once she invests, the fear creeps in. The fear of losing him, the fear of being replaced, the fear that the happiness she just grabbed could vanish overnight. That fear twists her perspective. It makes her forgive things she shouldn't, overlook problems that matter, and cling harder than she planned. From the outside, it may look irrational. From her perspective, it feels like survival. If she's already talking about the future after just a few dates, don't get swept up or make promises too fast. Slow the tempo with something like, "I really like you, and I want us to take our time to truly know each other." This is the dangerous cycle. Impulse leads to investment. Investment leads to fear, and fear drives behavior that seems unpredictable. And yet, to her, it's all connected. She's not being careless. She's being swept up in something bigger than reason, the emotional storm inside her. And that storm sets the stage for her next weakness. Because once the fear of loss takes root, it grows into something even stronger, a haunting fear of abandonment that shapes everything she does in love. Her sixth weakness is the fear of abandonment. Few emotions cut as deeply as this one. To love someone and feel the possibility of losing them is not just sadness, it's panic. It's a storm that grips her chest and whispers that everything could collapse at any moment. This fear changes the way she acts in relationships. She might stay in situations that are clearly toxic because leaving feels more terrifying than staying. She may forgive betrayals, overlook disrespect, or excuse behavior that erodes her dignity, all to avoid facing the silence of being alone. Sometimes she even chases someone who is already slipping away, not because she still wants him, but because the thought of being left behind feels unbearable. Here's the cruel irony. She's not always holding on to love. Often, she's clinging to the fear itself. That primal terror of being abandoned pushes her into choices she would never make if she felt secure. To outsiders, her behavior looks irrational. To her, it feels like survival. And this fear doesn't just influence the big decisions. It seeps into the small ones too. A delayed text, a change in tone, a canceled plan. Each tiny moment can feel like a threat, proof that the worst is coming. The fear becomes a lens, tinting every interaction and every gesture with insecurity. To protect herself, she starts building walls, cold replies, a sharp joke, a mask of strength that hides the trembling inside. These defenses help her feel safe, but they also create distance. They push away the very connection she longs for. It's a cycle. Fear drives walls. Walls drive loneliness. Loneliness drives more fear. If she reacts strongly to a late reply, don't get defensive. Offer small words of reassurance like, "I was caught up with something, but I'll always circle back to you." Safety calms the fear, and that cycle sets the stage for her next weakness. Because once her defenses rise, she doesn't just keep pain out, she also keeps love at arm's length. That's when her emotional walls become her greatest shield and her greatest prison. Her seventh weakness is the set of emotional walls she builds. To the outside world, she might look like the life of the party, the one who laughs the loudest, shines the brightest, and draws people in without effort. But that glow often hides something heavier. Behind the charm, she's armored. Every sarcastic joke, every casual, "I don't need anyone," is more than a quirk. It's a shield. These walls weren't built overnight. They're forged from years of disappointment, heartbreak, and betrayal. Each cut from the past adds another layer of defense. She wears strength like a mask, not because she doesn't feel, but because she feels too much. Every compliment or affectionate gesture is quietly measured against the question, is this real, or is this another setup for pain? From the outside, she can seem untouchable. To many men, she feels like a challenge, a puzzle to solve. But inside, her heart beats with fear and longing. She wants connection, yet she's terrified of it. She craves closeness, but the risk of being hurt again makes every step forward feel dangerous. Vulnerability, for her, is a double-edged sword. It can bring intimacy, but it also exposes her to the very wounds she's been protecting for years. This makes trust a gamble. When she finally lowers her defenses and lets someone in, she feels exposed, raw, and at risk. If it goes well, the bond is deep and real. But if it goes wrong, the fallout is devastating. That's why she clings to her walls. They're her only sense of control in a world where emotions can so easily betray her. When she acts cold or pretends she doesn't need anyone, don't try to force her to open up. Say something like, "It's okay if you're not ready to share, I'm here when you are." That kind of patience is disarming. Yet these same defenses, they'd often backfire by protecting herself from hurt. She sometimes pushes away the very love she longs to keep. And when her walls finally give way, another danger emerges. Because once she trusts, she doesn't do it halfway. She gives everything. And that leads directly into her next weakness, placing her trust in the wrong person. Her 8th weakness is one of the most painful: trusting the wrong person. When she finally lowers her defenses, she doesn't give halfway. She offers everything: her time, her energy, her secrets, her loyalty. Even the tender parts of her heart she hides from the rest of the world. And when that trust lands in the wrong hands, the damage cuts deep. It's not that she's blind. She often notices the red flags. She feels the hesitation in her gut. She hears the small voice whispering that something isn't right. But against her own judgment, she chooses to hope. She chooses to believe in the brighter version of the story, even when reality points the other way. Because deep down, she wants to believe love is stronger than doubt. If she's been hurt before, don't pressure her to trust you instantly. Let your actions, consistent and calm, do the heavy lifting. Trust isn't built with promises. It's built with patterns. This hope is powerful, but it's also dangerous. When the man she trusts disappears, when his affection fades, or when betrayal slices through the illusion, the fallout is brutal. She doesn't just lose him, she loses a part of herself. The pain fractures her confidence, makes her question her worth, and leaves her wondering if she can ever trust again. The deeper the trust, the sharper the fall. And when she crashes, it doesn't just reopen one wound, it awakens them all. The overthinking returns, spinning in endless loops. The fear of abandonment roars back, louder than ever. Her emotional walls rise even higher, making her harder to reach. What started as trust becomes a cycle of heartbreak that reshapes the way she sees love itself. This is why overtrusting the wrong person is such a hidden trap. To outsiders, it may look naive, but to her, it feels like faith. She's not blind, she's choosing to see the best, even when the worst is right in front of her. And when that choice shatters, it sets the stage for her next weakness, clinging to the past, even when it's long gone. Have you ever felt like you're competing with a ghost, with a guy who's no longer around, but still lives rent-free in her heart? Her 9th weakness is one of the hardest to break free from: romanticizing the past. When a relationship ends, she doesn't just remember it. She replays it in her mind like a movie she can't stop watching. She recalls the way he laughed, the way he held her hand, the way a glance could make her heart race. These memories live in her with such vivid color and detail that they almost feel real again. But here's the twist: she rarely remembers the whole story. The painful parts, arguments, disappointments, betrayals, fade into the background. What remains is an edited version of the past, polished into something almost perfect. She clings to the sweetness and conveniently erases the scars. That selective memory becomes a trap, keeping her tied to someone who no longer exists in her present. Every new man she meets faces an invisible competitor. He isn't competing with a real person. He's competing with a memory, a ghost. And that ghost is impossible to beat, because in her mind, he's been rewritten into perfection. No flaws, no mistakes, only the highlight reel of what once was. This longing blurs her reality. Instead of embracing the possibilities in front of her, she measures everything against what she believes she lost. Even if the new man is kind, genuine, and present, he can never fully measure up to the phantom she keeps alive in her heart. That comparison breeds hesitation, dissatisfaction, and a quiet yearning for something she can't get back. If she keeps bringing up her ex, don't get jealous. Instead, focus on creating new memories so meaningful that she doesn't need to escape into the old ones anymore. Romanticizing the past doesn't just hold her back, it also shapes the way she loves in the present. It makes her second-guess, resist, or even sabotage new connections. Because in her mind, no one feels as real as the one who got away. And when this nostalgia combines with insecurity, overthinking, and misplaced trust, it prepares the ground for her most powerful weakness of all, the one where emotions don't just influence her world, they define it completely. Her final weakness is also her greatest strength, letting emotions control her reality. For her, feelings are not just reactions, they are the lens through which she sees the world. When she loves, it feels infinite. When she's hurt, the pain feels permanent. To her, emotions are more convincing than facts, more powerful than logic, and more urgent than reason. This is why she can give her whole heart without hesitation. It's why she can care so fiercely, protect so passionately, and dream so vividly. But it's also why heartbreak hits her harder than most men can imagine. The same depth that makes her love unforgettable makes her wounds feel unbearable. When emotions take the wheel, decisions change. She may forgive what she shouldn't. She may cling to something long gone. She may chase what's clearly out of reach, all because her heart demanded it before her mind had a chance to intervene. To her, what she feels is the truth, even if reality disagrees. This emotional storm is both beautiful and dangerous. It creates unforgettable moments of intimacy, laughter, and passion. But it can also lead to chaos, pulling her and anyone close to her into unpredictable highs and devastating lows. One day, she sees you as her world. The next, a single doubt can turn everything upside down. When she acts unreasonable, don't react emotionally. Stay grounded. The best way to stabilize her emotional waves is to master your own. Here's the paradox. The same emotional depth that makes her magnetic is also what makes her fragile. She is a puzzle of contradictions, strong yet vulnerable, confident yet insecure, guarded yet longing for love. Understanding this doesn't make her weak in your eyes. It makes her human. And if you, as a man, can see this truth without losing yourself in the chaos, you gain something rare: clarity. You stop chasing illusions. You stop fearing her storms. Instead, you learn to stand steady with awareness and strength. Because in the end, her greatest weakness is also what makes her unforgettable. How many times have you ignored the signs, only to blame yourself when she pulled away? How often did her sudden shift feel like chaos? when in reality, it was just a pattern you didn't see coming. You've now uncovered the 10 hidden weaknesses that quietly shape a woman's world. They're not random quirks or cliches. They're deep patterns, desires, fears, and triggers that influence how she loves, how she reacts, and how she chooses. Most men never see them. They stumble through relationships blind, mistaking her storms for chaos instead of recognizing the rhythm beneath. But you're no longer blind. You know that her sudden distance, her overthinking, her walls, her longing for the past, none of it is without meaning. Behind every smile and every silence is a thread you can now trace. This knowledge isn't about control, it's about clarity. Because once you understand her patterns, you stop being shaken by them. You stop chasing illusions. You stand firm. That's where your strength lies, not in bending her emotions, but in mastering your own. A man who controls himself doesn't lose balance when the storm comes. If you've ever been in situations like these, drop a comment with your experience or question. I'll break it down deeper in an upcoming video. Thank you for watching. If this message hit you, don't just scroll away. Subscribe, dive deeper into our content, and start building the mindset that puts you back in control. Drop a comment below. What's the biggest struggle you want us to break down next? Let's build a brotherhood of men who rise above confusion and reclaim their power. See you in the next video.